Welcome to Chapter 12, Payroll Records, Part 3. The essential outcomes for Chapter 12. You will prepare payroll records by A. Identifying accounting concepts and practices related to payroll records. B. Completing a payroll time card. C. Calculating payroll taxes. D. Completing a payroll register and an employee earnings record. E. Preparing payroll checks. And F. Connecting key terms in the chapter with application. 12-3 Payroll Terminology. Payroll register. A payroll register is a form used to record payroll information for employees. Net pay. The net pay is the total earnings paid to an employee after deductions. Employee earnings record is a form used to record details affecting payments made to each employee. Accumulated earnings. Accumulated earnings is a record of total earnings an employee makes for the year. We have learned how to calculate and prepare our time cards. Now it is time to record the time card information into our payroll register. The first step is to record the pay period, followed by the date of payment. These two dates are usually the same. Then we will prepare Section 3, which is our employee personal data, such as employee number, employee name, marital status, and the number of allowances. Then we will calculate columns 1, 2, and 3, which will give us our total or gross earnings. In column 1, you will put your regular hours. In column 2, you will record any overtime earned by an employee. In column 3, you will add up regular plus overtime to get your total gross earnings. The next step is to begin to prepare our deductions. In column 4, using your income tax tables given to you in the book, you will determine the federal income tax for each employee. Column 5, you now need to calculate your Social Security tax. You will multiply your total earnings by 6.2%. Column 6. Now it is time to calculate Medicare by multiplying the total earnings by 1.45%. Column 7 is our healthcare insurance premium. This will be given to you in the book. Column 8 is a column set aside for other. This would be voluntary deductions by an employee for U.S. savings bonds, United Way, or other types of deductions. Column 9, you are now going to calculate your total deductions by adding up columns 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Step 11. You are now going to determine your net pay. You calculate net pay by subtracting column 9, your total deductions, from column 3, your total or gross earnings. When you go to write the check will be written for the amount listed in the net pay column. The next step is to total, prove, and rule the payroll register. We do this by drawing a single line across columns 1 through 10. Then we add up each of the columns, and then we need to do a proof. We prove by taking our net pay plus our total deductions total and that should give us our total gross earnings. Or you can take your total gross earnings, subtract your total deductions, that should give you your total net pay. If these balance, you will double rule columns 1 through 10, and then you will record the check number for each employee. Proving the payroll register. There are two ways you can prove the quality of the payroll register. Take your total earnings minus your total deductions and they will equal your net pay, or you may take net pay plus total deductions to get your total earnings. If they do not equal, then you need to go find your error. Always prove the register. I suggest before you complete the deduction section that you make sure your earnings plus overtime equals your total earnings. Now that we have completed the payroll register, we now need to take the information in our payroll register and record it into each employee's earnings record for the quarter. In this case, we are going to take Rick Selby's information on the payroll register and record it into his earnings record for the quarter. Note that the source document or objective evidence for the earnings record is the payroll register. So first, we record the last day of the quarter. Then we will record the employee personal data. Then we will record the beginning accumulated earnings for the fiscal period. So if this was the first period of the first month, the accumulated earnings would be 0. However, if we look at the amount underneath accumulated earnings for Ricky, we're going to see that he has $18,432. This means that they are in the fourth quarter of the year or the fiscal year. We now want to take the information from our payroll register for December 15th and record Ricky's information into his earnings record. So we will take all the information in the payroll register for Rick and copy it into his employee earnings record. Then we will update the accumulated earnings by taking the previous accumulated earnings plus the current total earnings to get our new accumulated earnings. At the end of the quarter, you will need to total and prove the quarterly totals. To prove, you will take your total gross earnings, subtract out your total deductions to get your net pay. Otherwise, you can take your net pay plus your total deductions and they should equal your total earnings. 12-3 Work together. Please open your accounting book to page 355. You will need Work Together page 311. Please complete the assignment. If you need assistance, please let me know. Then return back to this PowerPoint. That's all, folks. Thanks for participating. Please return to the class website for the last PowerPoint of Part 4.